smaller, lighter, more beautiful. Wait, what? When we were all expecting a Ronin 2, DJI hits back with the new Ronin SC, which kinda is the same that the Ronin 2. But look at this size, look at this weight, I can hold it with 2-3 fingers. We're gonna talk about this and all the different things that it comes, which are new in this review. I'm truly excited because out of nowhere and for just $439 US, this may be a true game changer. If I would be another gimbal manufacturer right now, I would be shaking my head. But no more talking now, let's go inside. Hello guys and welcome again to this channel. This is Alex with Chivo on the camera. If you have been following our channel, you've seen that we've been covering the newest gimbals out there like the Crane 3 Lab, the Moza Air 2, and we were quite excited to see what would DJI do if they would add some new specs, some new details, what would be different by DJI this time. But what we didn't expect was to see a much smaller gimbal because look at this. This is the old Ronin S and this is the new Ronin SC, and it's not just smaller, it is also lighter. The most important thing that you're gonna learn here today is the older Ronin S, just the gimbal, was 1.5 kilograms. And let me put this back. If you go now to the newer Ronin SC, only the gimbal is 830 grams, which means almost half the weight. And trust me, you feel this. When you put a camera on top of it and you start moving and filming, you're gonna notice this, and it's heavy. As you can see, the grip and the tripod have the same design. However, the new Ronin SC is smaller and lighter, basically because it's all made out of plastic, where the older one had some metal and alu stuff. But we can see, as I'm saying, it is shorter, the grip is shorter, and even though the design of the tripod has changed a bit, it has the same size and it works the same way. Two more differences that we thought that are quite important is, first, even though the grip with the battery looks here and is smaller, the capacity of this battery has been slightly enhanced. On the older Ronin we had 2400 milliamps hour and we have now 2450 milliamps hour. And not only this, the older Ronin used Bluetooth 4.0, and on this one we can say that it uses Bluetooth 5.0. But being smaller and lighter must have some, cons. And let's talk about motor performance. And I have to say that when we were starting to use it, we saw maybe it's not as fast as the older Ronin S. And it is true. At full speed, you can just turn around 180 degrees in 1 second, where you could 360 degrees before. Even though you can still, as you can see now, turn around 360. If you're moving it with the joystick or in the sport mode, you're limited to 180 degrees. However, on the other hand, you're gaining on the tilt axis up to 10-15 degrees if you go up and 10-15 degrees if you go down, which gives you a wider range when going on the tilt. And let's focus now on the Ronin SC. But why did I tell you that this may be a game changer? Well, not because of the weight, but because of the size. And you may say, well, it's smaller, but not very much smaller. Well, let me tell you one thing. We're travelers here. We've been using the Ronin for quite some time. And the only reason why we don't use the Ronin more often is because it's too big. Not because it's too heavy, because you get used to this weight. You get used to it, but you don't get used to the space that it occupies in your travel backpack. And we don't even take big drones if we're traveling. We take the Mavic Air because it takes less space. So in this case, the smaller, the better. And now we know that you've been waiting for this, some B-roll cinematic shot with the Ronin SC. When you create a smaller gimbal, you also have to think about each part of this gimbal that has to be smaller. This is the plate of the older Ronin S, and this one attached here is of the new one. Not only it is smaller, but Tivo, if you can zoom in here, look at this little knob right here. We have named it limiter. I don't really know the name, but this limiter, you will be able to move it around at this plate. And you know, DJI thought, you know the Moza Air 2, it had a double plate which we really loved when reviewing, which just allowed you, when you took off the camera, change the battery, put it back on, to have it in the same position without having to calibrate it each time. Well, in this case DJI created this limiter, so once you go back, you can put it easily back, and this limiter will make your camera stop right there, so I don't have to calibrate it anymore. All you have to do is close this knob right here and you are good to go. One of the biggest problems that the Ronin S had, the older Ronin S, is that once you stop using it, look at this, you just keep hitting it everywhere because you can't really lock the arms and the axis, and at some point you start destroying your own gimbal. And we had seen little red knobs on the Crane 3 Lab, and DJI thought, okay, let's make it kind of similar. Do you see this one right here? Well, if this axis, for example, if this arm is loose, you just can close it and ta-da, you are locked. And for example, this one as well, you can close it, ta-da. And if you just want to fold it, put it all together and save some space and not be hitting it everywhere, you just have to lock all those three, and look at this. This is the final position. It doesn't really move anymore. This is great. Oh, and one last thing not to forget. On the older Ronin S, you had four adjustable axes, and on the new Ronin SC you only have three, which means that this back part you can't really move around. However, the good thing that DJI thought is, on this part here where the plate is, where you put the camera, you can now move it around, and if you listen closely, it has different stops in order to make it much more easier to calibrate properly. Now let's talk a little bit about something sensitive, and its connectivities. The most important here, right now we don't have any official information. It is true, we just have the sample, and we don't have even an official guide on how this works. So before saying something that is not true or just coming up with something that we have no idea, I'd rather tell you that we have upcoming videos where we're gonna do this and explain this. However, the most important are the ports here, and USB-C port for charging the Ronin SC. We also have another USB-C port here, which I've been testing, and it works for charging your phone and probably for charging your camera too. I have no idea. We'll see this in the future. Some 8-point right here, which right now we'll have put the phone holder, but you'll see in a second. It is probably for the follow focus, and some zoom control, and that would be pretty much it. Apart from that, we have a phone holder and a cable. This is how the Ronin SC with the phone holder would look. This is the phone holder. It is pretty solid and robust plastic, but it works good. We have this cable right here directly into the Ronin, and of course the nice thing will be here to track, because now you're able to active track a person or an object. And for this purpose we're going to talk about the app right now. The app basically is the same app that we had on the older version of the Ronin. It just has changed a little bit the design and the user interface. Basically, the biggest button you're going to be using the most is this create button, and once you hit create, as you can see right here, you'll be able to use a virtual joystick, active track, which is the new thing, the panorama time-lapse and the motion time-lapse, and the regular track that we had before. It's going to be interesting in upcoming videos to see how this active track works, but right now we're not able to do it. Apart from that, you can check the motor parameters, and you can change it. If you hit here the pan, you'll be able to change everything from the motors as you want. You can also, of course, calibrate it, and the most important here is the user profile. As you can see, you have 3 user profiles, and those will be the same profiles that you have down on the Ronin with the 3 different modes, which you can change by pressing the M button, and you can do basically whatever you want. You can change among 5 different modes. As you can see, pan until follow, pan follow, and all that. You attach, you put one of those modes with different speed to each one of them. For example, sport mode on the 3 and pan follow on the 1 and just the tilt on the 2, and you'll be able to set it up as you wish. Nothing really else here. You can also check the status and do some checklists which are interesting. But this is basically what the app stands for. The best thing about the DJI products overall always has been that it's pretty simple and easy to use, and this app, as you have seen, is very simple and there's no way you can do something wrong. 3 or 4 different modes, you can adjust the speed, and that's pretty much all you want to do. Now for finishing this video, overall, as we mentioned along the whole video, I can't really wait to travel with this Ronin SC to see if it truly is a game changer. It does really look robust and it is a really solid gimbal, and it will be definitely fighting with all the other gimbals, even though it is smaller and cheaper and a little bit more made out of plastic. Overall, I have to say that within the gimbal market, it was fun to see how the big manufacturers would be acting now that we have achieved this kind of technology, which is pretty same level on all the different brands. And I didn't expect really right now DJI to come up with a gimbal, and I would have never put my money on it being a smaller and lighter gimbal, because I thought it wasn't possible, because I said, well, someone else would have done it before. So apart from that, our feelings is that for $439 US, it will be like a nuclear bomb to all other manufacturers. Remember that Zion has now a gimbal Crane 3 Lab for $1,000, now a little bit lower in price, and the Moza Air 2 is also at $500 or $600. So let's see how the market will develop and how actually this is gonna be fighting against those brands. And as we're saying, the most important to us is always a gimbal to be simple, ready to use out of the box, and you know, we don't like having a lot of cables and extras and focus pulling stuff. We just want to use it with our camera and travel with it. And DJI has achieved that. And those extra small locking and all that make it even better to use. So nothing really else to say. Stay tuned, because we're gonna do more videos on the Ronin SC. We're gonna compare it with Zion, with Goodson and all those brands. So stay tuned. And the connectivities we're gonna talk once we know a little bit more. So nothing really else to say. Leave the thumb if you thought that this was helpful. And if you want to know anything else, let us know in the comments. We always answer and we'll do it for you. Nothing really else to say. Always remember to keep calm and talk UAV.